Om Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansachanuramardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Bande Jagadgurum. Om. Adorations to Lord Krishna, the preceptor of the universe, destroyer of the forces of darkness, bestower of immortality. Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 6, and we are dealing with verse number 7. The topic is how to be firmly established on the path that leads you to liberation. And the mantra behind it, dhyana, meditation. We have introduced two types of movement for an aspirant. In the beginning, you are like a bird that has hatched out of the egg and climbing the tree but can't fly. But that's progress. You hatched out of it, you are climbing, slipping back and forth, but you are climbing. Next stage, your wings develop. Now you have both control. You climb the tree as well as you fly. Early stage, when you didn't start your sadhana, you are just within the egg. That's the stupid state. When you start satsanga and good deeds, good impressions, good association, then you hatch out of it. And now you begin to climb the tree of spiritual progress. But you have to take steps. You can't fly. But when wings have developed, you begin to fly. First stage, you are using your head, called purushartha, self-effort, to be steady on the spiritual path, and you are exerting. There is a lot of effort involved, a lot of perspiration, very little inspiration. Now comes a time when perspiration moves away, cool breeze blows, you fly. Inspiration. In other words, your self-effort blends with grace. That grace again comes because of your self-effort. If you didn't start, you will not be deserving grace. When you start with sincerity and come to a stage of internal purification, then grace joins in. Now you are a mature aspirant. You have not attained enlightenment, should not become so quick. But now you have the possibility of moving both ways, as well as staying stuck in your egg shape. Try to understand, I'm using advanced understanding. When we say you progress, it doesn't mean that having attained a certain stage, all previous stages drop away. They all stay. You sleep, you yawn, feel lazy, all stages. But those stages don't hold you down. They are simply your tables and chairs in your office. They don't do any calculations. But you can be held down by your these little stages. So as sadhana starts, all that I'm trying to say, if you are advanced and you have certain moments of going backward, don't worry. That's a normal part of spiritual movement. Only don't get caught in a lower level. Shaking is perfectly normal, rather desirable. If you don't have that shaking, that means somewhere you are creating a fraud. Your heart is becoming rock-like. But with flexibility, with shaking, you continue to emerge out of, not stay in egg shape. You begin to move, not only just move up and down, fly. Not only fly only in your tree and atmosphere, but fly away up into the sky. So when that flight stage and moving to the sky, that's the theme of this chapter. Jitatmanah prashantasya paramatma samahita shitoshna sukha dukkheshu tatha manapamanayo. One who has conquered his self and has become peaceful, who remains balanced in cold and heat, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. His mind becomes centered on the Supreme Self. All these are very condensed writings, but lots of good ideas are put together in one single verse. So let me explain to you. First Sanskrit word jitatmana. You are always Atman. Atman means soul. Soul in the state of bondage is called, another name is jiva, individual soul. But they say soul that has become liberated. That's also called Atman. Atman means either you are liberated, Atman means soul. As Jiva, you are in state of bondage. As liberated sage, you are Supreme Atman, Supreme Self. Come to another way to understand, your personality is a blend of higher self and lower self. And you are in a strange predicament. If you turn to receive help from your higher self, you will be rescued from the world process. World process is a big dump. But if your higher self is dominated by your lower self, then you yourself become your friend as well as your own enemy. If you are allowing your higher self to guide you, to support you, to inspire you, to shine for you, you are your own best friend. Thank yourself. If you let your lower self gain strength, then you become your worst enemy. So don't look for friend or enemy elsewhere. Finding friend or enemy elsewhere is a tremendous wastage of mind, because you can't do anything about it. And best of Friends outside, they can't lead you to liberation. They can't resolve your problems. They can't even digest your food if you can't digest it. I mean, the worst of enemies outside, they can't touch you unless your own karma allows you to do so. If you have good resistance in your body, viruses are everywhere. They can't touch you. If you have that type of resistance, inner strength. So who is the best friend and who is your worst enemy? You. And when you become your best friend, you let your friend rescue you from the lower grip of the lower self. You are yourself, allowing yourself to be rescued. Now, to understand the higher self and its role, jitatmana, implying mastery over the mind and senses. The greater your control over your mind and senses, control means allowing the mind and senses to be utilized, not wasted. So when you come to that stage, instead of misusing your mind, misusing your senses, you would figure that what I mean. Instead of doing that, if you allow them to move in a right way, the Sanskrit words are from preya to shreya. Preya means going according to the whims of the mind. Then mental whims, mind is like monkey and you can't do anything better than being in a monkey market. Shreya means not be dictated by monkey mind, but let your mind be dictated by your higher understanding, your higher self. Mind and senses become your pet, your obedient servants. If that has come, then you are called jitatmana. You have mastered the mind and senses. Prashantasya. Greater the control over your mind and senses, greater is your experience of peace. Important point to understand, peace is not a worldly commodity, neither happiness. You can't buy peace. Go to Google, where is the place where you can get maximum peace? Peace is ever-present reality of your soul. You don't go anywhere, just go to sleep. Everything moves away from you. You have boundless peace within yourself. But what is taking you away from your peace? Your higher self is enslaved by your lower self. Lower self dominates your higher self. And who did it? You. Which is the good news. Since you have done it, you can undo it. It's a bad news, somebody else did it. Then you have no hope. So, Jitatmana, if you have conquered the mind and senses, now you experience prashant, peace beyond understanding. That's why we always repeat shanti, shanti, shanti. Threefold peace. Peace with yourself, your body, mind. Peace with the world around you. And peace in relation to acts of God. Hurricanes, thunderstorms, volcanic eruptions, all those are called act of God. All this goes on, changes occur in your body and mind. The world around you always appears to be in turmoil. And then acts of God that you cannot imagine how things will happen. Weather, earthquakes, hurricanes, volcanic eruptions, all these keep every individual ashant, restless, without peace. But if you have allowed your higher self to control the lower self, now all these three sources of trouble, coming from you, coming from the world, coming from act of God, all these three troubles will move away. They can't touch you. How can that happen? Just to give you a simple illustration. You are dreaming. In dream, you have a sample of what I am saying. You yourself, as a person in dream, you have your own internal problems. And then as you are moving around to solve your problems, you tumble against tables and chairs, stung by scorpions, or whatever can happen. In other words, your identity is illusory. In dream you don't have your identity. But it doesn't matter to you. The world of your dream doesn't even exist. But it doesn't matter to you. In that world, your false identity is experiencing shocking situations. Those situations are completely illusory. Exactly the same predicament is there in your daily life, in your practical world. Does anybody know about one's own self? You don't know even about your own body. You have to go to the doctors, work hard. I'm just not discouraging. And the world around you, who knows about this vast world? Science goes on making research. And all the research is based on human senses. What your eyes see, what your ears hear. And we do not take into consideration how is the world viewed by animals and birds. Their worlds are totally different. So therefore, the world you are living in is a big illusion, big dream. And your own attitude, your own concept of what is joy and what is sorrow, that again is illusory. Something happens and so my day has become dumped. And this is most frustrating. You wanted to go to catch a plane, and somehow something delayed you and you face a very challenging situation and go on hating everybody who caused the delay. But when they hear the news, the plane has capsized or some trouble has come to the plane. You say, how wonderful. In brief, no one exactly knows what to say about adversity or prosperity. Sometimes prosperity can be your worst enemy. Adversity can be your best friend. So, the world that we live in is like a dream, long dream. Only time you have rescued from this when you are in deep sleep. But if you are a spiritual aspirant, you begin to progressively understand that the world is not taking away your peace. Peace is your internal reality. In spite of whatever is there in the world, when you sleep, the world moves away. In spite of whatever is there, if you could allow your mind to calm down, all the world and its problems will vanish. And any moment you can enjoy immense peace, joy beyond limits. Because that immense peace, you are not making it, you are not creating it by karma. It's your reality. The sky doesn't create itself, it is already there. Clouds create illusions of limiting the sky. Mind creates the illusions of limiting your soul, the soul reality. So, in brief, as you begin to allow the mind to see, witness the higher self conquering the lower self, if that happens, your soul will begin to experience inner peace in spite of whatever is going into the world. The world will be always the same. Paramatma Samahita. Every soul is Paramatma, the Supreme Self. All souls are like reflected suns in many jars of water. Think of the sun as the soul, the absolute self. Look at reflections and illuminations of the sun, countless reflections. And each reflected sun is in a special condition, in a special situation, in a turmoil. But all the turmoil suffered by reflected suns have nothing to do with the real sun. All reflected suns are in a state of restlessness, without peace, constant agitation. But the revelation, I am the sun, gives you peace beyond imagination. All your restlessness, etc., has been created by your mental function. Your mental function is not you. You are using the mind as instrument. Now then, look into the instrument and try to do some cleaning up. And that process of making the mind instrument purified, that process is called dhyana, meditation. It has different angles. We also call it vichar, inquiry. All that belong to the category of dhyana. Allowing your mind and senses to be under control and a higher understanding to emerge. That higher understanding leading you to realize all that you consider real, they are not real. They are like experiences in dream. And no matter how things are going on in this practical world, your inner reality is not your brain, not your nervous system. Not whatever is experienced by your brain and nervous system is not you. You are dealing with the big iPad. And staying stuck to the iPad is bad. Figure that out. So Paramatma, Samahita, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkheshu, who remains balanced in cold and heat, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor. His mind becomes centered on Supreme Self. Paramatma Samahita term means centered on Supreme Self. Your mind is, through your mind you are focused on, led by your lower self, you are focused on gaining ground in the world that's the world of dream. Led by lower self. Your lower self highlighted, your mind is busy, just solving worldly problems and imagining how you can solve them by creating another, a bigger problem than the problem we're facing. But when mind becomes centered on the Supreme Self, implying in spite of all struggles, when your higher self begins to rise within you, then you begin to experience peace without depending upon the world. And that beckons the mind to pursue the path of samadhi, where mind itself dissolves. Now, the statement remains balanced in cold and heat. Balanced term I have already explained this point. It doesn't mean that you are like insensitive like a stone. You are sensitive. It is too cold, protect yourself. Too hot, protect yourself. Act up to heat and cold according to the need of your body and need of your personality. But don't waste your time. It's just resolving the problems of heat and cold. Don't start with it. Google how many times this type of heat will come and what are the days and how much will the temperature rise. And the coming winter, how cold it's going to be. I'm giving you a joking way to make you understand. Because people make, all this requires intelligent understanding. If you read it quickly, it simply means, oh, I will go without clothes just into heat. Or even in frozen areas, I will jump into a glacier. Because that's what the Gita says. Heat and cold, nothing. Both are same to me. That's a big mental error. Any act that you do that will damage your health, nervous system, your mind, that's not spirituality. But when we say, but then how do you practice that? You practice it, not let heat and cold keep your mind entangled with worries and anxieties. So don't waste your time, but learn to transcend it. Do the best for yourself to be comfortable. But don't let your mind be damaged. And similarly, if cold conditions have come, face it, put yourself under warm blanket. But don't go on talking to everybody, look how cold is Miami. and send them your picture. Heat and cold, pleasure and pain. Same thing applies to pleasure and pain. Some situations give you pleasant conditions, what people call fortune, how fortunate you are. And some things appear like adversity. If you are spiritually advanced, you must first understand that your goal is not a happening in the world. No matter whatever things happen in the world, that is not going to be secure. The world is transient. The world is kind of a dreamland. So your stability is not secure in the world, no matter what you do. You can work very hard, make yourself prosperous, become very popular, and even secure money for generations. But countless generations have come and gone. Where are they? You are not here. This world is not giving you absolute fulfillment. Your fulfillment is not in this world. So this world you are experiencing is not a reality. Your mind is creating a deluded awareness. All that's a bigger subject, and I will not go into too much detail. But when we say pleasure and pain, try to understand that as long as you are bonded with the idea, I am the body, there will be always pleasure and pain. But let pleasure be faced by you in a way that serves your purpose. If pleasant condition has come, figure out how can you make yourself more spiritually enriched. Use the pleasant condition for, say, if you are an artist, go into artwork. Musician, do more musical studies. Make yourself purposeful. But generally what happens when you have prosperity, that's the time you become completely out of mind, elated. If it is adversity, the prosperity stops the purpose of your life. Adversity puts another cold shower. If you are spiritually sensitive, your mind never works upon what is auspicious or what is inauspicious. Everything in this world is created by God. Everything has its purpose. That type of mature state develops in your mind. So though externally and even to some extent you seem to be shaken, Your heart level remains strong with love of God. And how do you utilize adversity? Many ways. In adversity, you do more your japa, more prayer. In adversity, you begin to understand how other people feel when they have adversity. You create a compassionate heart for all those who suffer. Don't be compassionate just to yourself. The adversity has come only for me. So, while you are trying to cure your adversity, open another level within your heart. Oh God, help all souls to be free of adversity. Just like you have helped me, help them all. If you are doing that, you are securing your profounder spiritual joy. So prosperity and adversity both have their purpose. But this does not mean that you consciously and willingly promote adversity. Your instinct is not to do so and must follow instinct because God is working through your instinct. Adversity, you must try to ward off adversity, deal with adversity in every way possible. If you are sick, try to remedy it by every method possible. Leave no stone unturned. But while doing that, don't fall a prey to absolute frustration. Despair, nil desperandum. No despair, just repair. And beware. And same thing applies, man apaman. Mana apamanayo. Man means praise. Apaman means insult. That these troubles come from everywhere, from within your own self. First, your own self evaluates a situation and pats once on your own head. How wonderful I did. But something happens and the astrologer says your past karma has caused this negative thing to happen. Now your mind condemns yourself. Why did you do that past karma? You are praising yourself one setting, then you are scolding yourself. Try to understand, this is not easy to follow. Not only you are subject to praise and censure from outside, you are subject to praise and censure by your own mind. One type of mind praises you, another type of mind curses you. But come back to more practical level. You always live with people, and even in your own family, loving relations, sometimes praise comes in, child praises the mother, and sometimes the very same child says to the mother, I should have been born of another mother. Why I am born through you? You are restricting me and everything. So, what would you do with that? Two different attitudes, different angles, even in close relation. The world is filled with that. First to understand, don't become shaken by it. Clouds fill the sky, winds blow freely. Similarly, nature operates through all minds. No two persons feel exactly the same. So, you are in a world where sometimes you can be praised, sometimes you cannot, you'll be censured. You can be given honor, you can be given dishonor. Allow yourself close to God. And in your mental state, mature mind, if someone is insulting you, instead of cursing the person, your prayer should be, oh God, two things. First, to recognize if the person is insulting you, that your nose is black. There is a black suit on it. What you should do? Look into your mirror. If the person says is right, thank you. Don't be upset. But if a person is pointing out to an error in you by imagination, it's not with you at all. You simply smile internally and externally try to see what is the difficulty in the person's mind. All personalities are like your own brothers and sisters, are like your own personality. What makes the person so twisted in mind? And don't be surprised, you have faced many situations like that. Therefore, mind should not build up sustained hatred and the spirit of revenge. If the mind builds up that, it's a tremendous error. You are living your life pushing away all wonderful opportunities of being good-hearted, being joyous, relaxed, because the mind is just thinking of that devil that hurt me, I'm going to see him in hell. Your hatred, whether he goes to hell or not, he doesn't know. But you go to hell. Eighth verse. Jnana vijnana triptatma kutasto vijitendriya yukti yutyuchyate yogi samloshtasma kanchana. That yogi is united with the Supreme Self, whose mind is fully contented due to knowledge and realization. Two stages of spiritual movement. First stage, intellectual, but not intellectual in a superficial way, profound intellect that's becoming purified. That intellect gains insight into what Vedanta says, philosophy. All is Brahman. All that you are experiencing is like what you see in a cinema show. Projections on a screen. Screen remains absolutely untouched. Projections create a lot of drama of time, space, history, geography, all types. But the projections that you are enjoying, we're looking at it with growth, focused mind, but all the time you are only looking at the screen. Projections have no reality. You look up to the sky, you are looking at the sky. But then the sky creates lots of illusions through clouds. When you are united with the self, which means you have come to realize I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am not the ego, I am Satchidananda, I am Brahman, the absolute self. If that revelation comes, that's called uniting with the self. The word unite gives you the idea some two things come together, but here not so. Illusion moves away and reality shines. False reality, false self becomes united with the real self. Shadow becomes united with the substance, with the object. Mirage becomes united with the desert. So that type of union is called yoga. Advanced definition. Yoga actually is viyoga. Viyoga is the more separated you are from the world, more united you are with God. But separation not in a physical way, by your understanding. A child playing with the toys, when he says separate yourself, doesn't mean throw the toys away. All that it means is start studying your books. Don't give all your time in the toys. That's what we mean by separating. Separating from the world doesn't mean literally running away from the world. Separating means doing all your duties, but instead of pleasing your ego, you allow your duties done in such a way that divine qualities develop in you, patience. And you begin to discover deep down you are not ordinary soul. You are created the image of God. Image again is to help your mind. Image is same as God himself. So real I am in every individual is the absolute self. The reality behind every reflected sun, no matter how little the sun may be, is the sun. That sun is never broken up into pieces. The reality never breaks up. That I am is God within you. That's the source of your power, your knowledge, all the goodness of your life. Goodness is essential in your personality. Negativity is superficial. Negativity has no reality. You can't hold it on. Positivity, you don't create it. Darkness, you cannot hold on. Light, you don't create it. It shines. When the sun rises, darkness dwindles. So that type of setting is there in every individual. So when you want to be happy, really peaceful, it is not a matter of what type of exertion I should put myself into. But it is a matter of integrating yourself with patience day by day. A good melody you want to bring out into your music, don't look for the melody elsewhere, but in same musical plan, in the same, bring about coordination of music, begin the, in other words, the same strings that cause discord will bring melody. The essential nature in every individual is absolutely, firstly, it is Brahman, the absolute. Therefore, it is supreme joy, supreme peace, supreme goodness. But since that is your goal, your life should flow on to gaining grounds of more secure type of happiness, divine virtues, good qualities in your life, time for greater inspiration and happiness, and less of worries, anxieties, fear, grief. All this must come into your personality, and don't think it's so many things to do. You must realize every person is growing like a tree. If you study so many things, details about the tree, it requires volumes to study. The tree doesn't have to study it. It simply grows. If you are living your life with that vision of integrating yourself and nourishing yourself with satsanga, etc., automatically all these details we are saying line up in you. And when you study it, you say, wow, I didn't know that. With this I will conclude. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushti Vardhanam Urvarukma Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyama Mritat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.